there's a strange pattern people don't talk about openly. Not because they don't see it, but because once you see it, something inside you starts to change. It begins subtly. You notice silence feels louder than noise. You start questioning things you once accepted without thinking. And then, one night, you realize your thoughts don't feel like your own anymore. Some call it awakening. Others call it a psychological break. But the most disturbing part isn't what people experience. It's how similar their stories are. Different countries, different lives. Yet the same feeling that something hidden is trying to wake up inside them. Or worse, something is trying to wake them up. It started with a message simple, almost forgettable. A user posted online saying they had begun seeing patterns in everything. Numbers repeating, conversations predicting themselves, dreams that felt more real than waking life. At first, people laughed it off, calling it coincidence or stress. But then others began replying, not with doubt but recognition. They described the same sensations. A quiet voice inside their mind that didn't feel intrusive, but guiding, not controlling, but revealing. They said it felt like remembering something they had always known, but somehow forgotten. And the strangest part, none of them could explain where it was coming from. As more people shared their experiences, a theory began to form, something deeper than coincidence. They believed human consciousness wasn't just awareness. It was something far more powerful, something suppressed, something waiting. Some claimed that reality itself wasn't fixed. That perception could be altered not through technology, but through awareness. They spoke about moments where time seemed to slow down, where emotions felt amplified, where intuition became almost predictive. And slowly, the idea spread that humans were capable of far more than they had ever been told. At first, it sounded empowering, a hidden human potential, something beautiful. People started meditating, disconnecting from distractions, trying to awaken whatever this was. And for some, it worked. They reported feeling lighter, more aware, as if a fog had been lifted from their mind. But alongside that clarity, something else appeared, a growing discomfort. Because the more aware they became, the more they started noticing things that didn't make sense anymore. They began questioning reality itself. Why do certain systems feel designed rather than natural? Why do people follow patterns without ever asking why? It was like seeing the world for the first time and realizing it didn't feel real. Some described it as waking up inside a dream. Others said it felt like stepping outside a script they didn't know they were following. And once that thought entered their mind, it refused to leave. Because if reality wasn't what it seemed, then what was it? And that's when the fear began. Not everyone who experienced this awakening felt peace. Some felt overwhelmed, as if their mind was opening too fast. They described hearing silence so deep it felt loud, noticing details that others ignored, sensing emotions in people without a word being spoken. It wasn't just awareness anymore. It felt like access to something hidden beneath the surface of reality. And the more they tried to ignore it, the stronger it became. Then came the stories that didn't make sense. People claimed they could predict small events seconds before they happened. A message appearing before it was sent. A phone call they somehow knew was coming. It was subtle, but consistent enough to feel real. Some believed this was proof of human potential and untapped ability to perceive beyond time. But others weren't so sure. Because if humans were truly awakening, then why did it feel less like gaining control and more like losing certainty? The idea of the Great Awakening map started connecting these experiences. According to those who believed in it, humanity was going through phases, layers of awareness being unlocked slowly. Spiritual awakening wasn't just about peace or enlightenment, it was about seeing reality without filters. And that came with consequences, because once you start seeing clearly, you can't go back. The comfort of ignorance disappears, and in its place comes something far more unsettling. But then, something changed. A small group of people who had reported the strongest awakening experiences suddenly went silent. Their accounts stopped posting, their messages disappeared, and when others tried to contact them, there was nothing. No replies, no activity, just gone. At first, people assumed they had simply moved on. But one user claimed they received a final message from one of them. Just a single sentence, sent at 3:17 a.m. I thought we were waking up, but I think something is waking up through us. That message spread faster than anything before it. Because suddenly, the narrative shifted. What if this wasn't just human consciousness expanding? What if this awakening wasn't entirely human at all? What if the feeling of clarity, the patterns, the awareness were not being discovered, but introduced? Some began to question whether consciousness itself was being influenced, not controlled in an obvious way, but guided, nudged, slowly shaped into something else. And the deeper they thought about it, the more terrifying it became. The final piece came from an anonymous post, one that was deleted within minutes, but not before being saved. It claimed that the Great Awakening map wasn't a guide to enlightenment, but a process, a gradual shift in human perception designed to make the mind more receptive, more open, more accessible. According to the post, spiritual awakening wasn't the end goal. It was the beginning, a doorway, and once enough people reached that state, something else could step through, not into the world, but into awareness itself. And maybe that's why the stories feel so familiar, because somewhere, deep inside, that feeling has already started. That quiet shift in perception, that moment where reality feels slightly off, not enough to prove anything, but enough to make you question. And the most unsettling part isn't whether it's real. It's the possibility that if it is, then whatever is awakening might already be awake.